What's good, everybody? It's the Cloud with Cab Show. UFC 273 was iconic from start to finish. First and foremost, shout out to the great Alexander Volkanovski. He's a beast. He's definitely in the top 5 pound for pound right now, dude. I mean, he put on the best performance we have seen by Alexander to date. And not to, take away anything from the Korean Zombie. He really, the fight, he just couldn't get going. Everything he threw, Alexander was just ahead of him. Just everything he did. We have to understand, Alexander, dude, he's on a 21 fight win streak. 12 by knockout. This guy, he's got to be in the top 5 pound for pound, if not top 3. I mean, what he did over the weekend, it was iconic. From start to finish, he landed 152 strikes out of 228, and really, they could have called the fight in the third round if they wanted to. He was just getting to the Korean Zombie and just really got to him, ate him up, and he just really wasn't ready. And I think the rust of the Korean Zombie, it showed there. He was just slow on his punches. His feet weren't as quick as Alexander. It was just Alexander was on his P's and Q's, and that's what I even said from the get-go. I said, not fighting, being absent for so long, it starts to catch up with you, and it starts to caught up with the Korean Zombie. I just thought the way it played out, I just think in the welterweight division right now, it's Alexander's division, dude. No one's going to run through him. He's only getting better each time. I mean, we go back to the Brian Ortega fight. I mean, dude, that fight was crazy. He got out of 2 crazy submissions. He called him a cheater because he was on drugs, whatever, doping. Whatever the case is, Alexander got away around the adversity from Ortega, got the dub, and then this fight. I mean, it was just so iconic, and this was probably my lock pick of the week. I was very confident in Alexander the Great. I was saying him the whole time, and it showed. And really, he's just light years ahead in that division. I wouldn't even be mad if he goes up in weight, goes up 5, 10 extra pounds. I could see him doing that. There's just so many options for him. Got the 4th round TKO. It was iconic, man. I mean, this guy, He's legit, dude. He is legit. He's 24-1 now in the UFC. Like I said, on a 21-fight win streak, dude. I mean, this guy is never looking back. He isn't, dude, and I think he's hungry, and the hard work's really paying off, and I believe in that. I believe if you work hard, the results will come. Shout out to Michael Jordan. He even believed in that. But I think Alexander the Great, it's just his division, and I think he's going to reign on top for the next couple years at least. So I think the hunger's there. It's great. But the most is surprising over this weekend of UFC 273 was definitely the Pierre Yan and Aljamain Sterling fight. I really thought this fight was definitely a draw here. I thought it was. Yes, the first 2 fights, I'll go to Sterling. Got the 2 takedowns early in the fight. Got what he wanted to do with Pierre Yan. But when he got him down, he really didn't do much. Yes, he landed a couple shots here and there, but it wasn't really significant anything. It wasn't doing damage. Wasn't anything. Yes, ground time. I'll give him that. But, I would say Pierre Yan probably won the 3, 4, and 5. If not the 4th and 5th round. I thought, just the way the fight was going, I just think, are we going to see a third fight between the two? I would love to. I think Yan, he will be champion one day, dude. I just think, him getting taken down in the first 2 rounds did not help. I think Yan, he wasn't ready for that. I think he thought, Sterling was going to stand with them and bang with them. I don't know what was going through his mind, but when he got the takedown in the second round, I'm thinking, Yan, what are you doing, dude? Like, he's over here throwing crazy punches, and his coach even told him, I believe it was the 3rd or 4th round, he's going for that double leg takedown, and that's what he did. The whole fight, Yan should have been ready. I get it. If you get taken down one time in the first round, you should realize, look, he's looking for these takedowns. That's what he's going to do. Expect it, dude. And I think Yan wasn't ready for that. I think that's really what hurt him in the long run on this card here, was getting taken down early in the first 2 rounds. But, after that, I just thought Yan, he did land 1 extra strike overall on the scorecard. I just think the ground control was the reason Sterling won this fight. And we have MMA experts come out and say they thought Yan won. Dana White even came out and said he thought Yan won this fight. It was so close. I thought it could have been a draw. And if it was a draw, Sterling would still hold the belt. But I just think for Yan, dude, I don't know. He's 16-3 right now. I still believe in him. Obviously, Sterling, he's the champion right now. I do think the UFC should run this fight back. We go back to the first fight. Obviously, Yang dominated it through the illegal knee. Then this fight was way closer than what a lot of people expected. I think that, Sterling came into this fight like plus 450. Something crazy like that, dude. So, insane amount of crazy odds. So, this would have been crazy. But I think for Jan's sake, man, it's back to the drawing board here. You got to, I just think for Jan, better takedown defense. That's the only thing I got to say to him. Better takedown defense. That's it. But, the striking, the stand-up. And we saw Jan get Sterling down in that fourth round and really controlled it the whole time. Threw some punches, but it wasn't like the ground and pound that we're used to seeing like true wrestlers, for instance, like Khabib or Covington or Usman, where they really throw heavy punches on the ground. These punches were a little bit rabbit punches from both ends, from Jan and Sterling. So it wasn't like, oh, they're going to knock him out when they get him down. No, it's more about control. I'm leading the fight. I don't care if I'm not trying to win by knockout, those type of things. But I just think the UFC definitely needs to run it back here. I thought it was way closer. I thought it was a draw in my eyes. I really did. I thought it was a draw. I think Jan took off in the fourth and fifth round to where it was like, hey, it's even here. But I think the judges really scored the first two rounds in Sterling's favor, maybe even gave him 10-8 here. I don't know. I just think, hey, it is what it is. Shout out to Sterling. No, nobody really saw this coming. I think a lot of the whales, a lot of the big sharks here, a lot of the big bettors, they went heavy on Jan. They did, dude. And I did. I even picked Jan here, money line. I said Jan all day, but that happens in the UFC. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I just think this fight was a good fight, but I thought it would be a better fight. I really did. It was a great fight, but the best fight of them all was definitely the Gilbert Burns-Chimaev fight. Look, this fight was crazy, dude. This fight was so close. Gilbert Burns, he came in 119 strikes to Chimaev's 108 strikes, but Chimaev got the 2 takedowns early in the fight. But I think, when Gilbert Burns threw that right hand, I forget which round it was later on in the fight, and Chimaev went down. He dropped. Anybody else would have been KO'd. And I will give Chimaev some credit there and say he does have a chin. He can take a hard punch. And Gilbert Burns, he hit him with that right. It was just a crazy. This fight was two warriors going at it and never giving up here. And I think, for Gilbert Burns, the dog came out in him. So for Chimaev, the dog had to come out in him. He got tested. He passed the test. Now, if you put him up against Colby Covington here, I'm saying this is not going to be a good matchup for Chimaev. Why? Because I just think on his stand-up game, he's a little bit more slower. He's easier to hit, dude. Chimaev's literally standing in front of Gilbert Burns, really not moving his head so much. It's more stiff kind of when he's standing up. Now, Chimaev, he's a great wrestler. I get all that. But when you're fighting against Colby or Usman in this division in the 170, you got to be able to have quick legs and quick head movements here when you're on the stand-up game. You're going to get pieced up too much, and I think Colby's going to exploit that if they do end up matching up. I think this would be great for the UFC. I think it'd be great business, and I think it'd do excellent pay-per-views if Chimaev and Colby matched up. After all, Colby called him cum shot, so I think this fight needs to happen. I think it will, and I think both these fighters are such great wrestlers that it's going to cancel out, kind of like the Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman fight. They just cancel each other out, and there's going to be a stand-up battle the whole time. And we know that Colby's stand-up game is better than Chimaev. To say Chimaev's stand-up game, that'd be ignorant, dude. He got pieced up really bad a couple times, from Gilbert Burns. And I'm not disrespecting Gilbert Burns. He's a legend in the UFC. I get that. I just think he's past his prime, and he's a little bit slower here. He is. He's got that big muscles. He's got that wrestler physique where it's like, dude, you shouldn't be getting tagged up like this. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but Gilbert Burns, he brought it, man. He's 7-1 last 8 fights. Now he's 7-2. But Chimaev's undefeated, 11-0. And I would love to see that matchup, Colby Covington and Chimaev. I think, like I said before, great pay-per-view numbers, great business. And I think the world would tune into that fight. They really would. Not to mention the press conference involved in this fight, dude. This would be crazy, dude. If they get this fight, during the summertime, I think it'd be amazing here. I do. Fight week, I think it'd be awesome. But I just think Chimaev, yes, there are some holes in his game. I'm not going to, praise this dude. He's a rookie in the UFC. Yes, he's an animal. I'll give him that. But there's other lions as well. Like Covington, Usman. There's other lions there. So I want to see that matchup. I cannot wait. But, Gilbert Burns, he brought it, man. He really did. The first couple rounds, it was in Chimaeva's favor. But that second round, really, Gilbert started to come around. It was like, all right, he's getting a momentum. He's getting some feel of Chimaeva. Chimaeva's trying to go for the takedown at some points when I get close to the cage. Now I got to move left and right. Just mix it up a little bit. And then that's when, Gilbert burns through that crazy right hand. And really, dude, most people in the real world, dude, if you were at a bar or somewhere in the public and got hit with that, you'd be knocked out. That was lights out, dude. But Chimaeva was still standing. Then he fell, but then he got back up like a champion, dude. So hats off to Chimaeva. He gained my respect. But when it comes to Colby Covington and him, dude, I got to go Colby, dude. I got to. Colby's the number one contender right now. And I think, this is the fight to make. Dana White even said, I think Colby's the next guy in line for Chimaeva. Chimaeva next. Let's go. I think this fight would be amazing, dude. I really do. So the future is bright for Chimaeva. Also, Colby, I cannot wait. Same thing with Gilbert Burns. Match him up. I'd say Leon Edwards match up with Usman. And then, I'd say Leon Edwards got to fight Nate Diaz if Nate Diaz is still going to be in the UFC. Just so many ifs, ands, or buts about the UFC right now. But for business-wise, why not do Chaos versus Chimaeva? I think that'd be great. And I do think the wrestling would cancel each other out. What? Now, let's go back to the other fight, Sterling and Jan. What's next for both these fighters? I'd love to see a rematch. I really would. I think the UFC, to do good business, rematch this fight, man, right away. Do it, this summer. Put them on a stat card. Put them on Chimaeva Covington main event card, something like that. Do something different, right? Yes, I get it. Sterling called out other guys after the fight. I just called out TJ Dillashaw. We have to understand Dillashaw, he's roided up, been roided up, got caught with roids, so we know he's a cheater. So why would Sterling want to fight a cheater here? A lot of guys have cheating in the UFC, not just the UFC fight game, all around, dude. There's cheaters everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So for Sterling, okay, yes, you fight TJ Dillashaw. I just think, for Jan, he's got to get back in that. He does, and I think Jan will be a champion. So do other fighters as well. So I'm not worried about both these fighters. They will be back, and I do think they will meet each other eventually. But for the Korean Zombie, what's next? I don't know. I honestly thought he would retire. I think he's gonna retire eventually. From taking a long layoff, not fighting so much in the past decade. But for Alexander Volkanovski, dude, he's a beast. He's an animal. He's the great. I'm telling you what, I think he's gonna be at the top for a long time here. Who's gonna dethrone him here? You guys threw Max Holloway, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. Shout out to Max. Is he gonna get a round 3 with him? I don't know. That could be a fight. Brian Ortega number 2, could he? I don't know. I just don't see that fight happening. If a fight that I do see happening is Max Holloway 3, because the first 2 fights with Alexander and Max, dude, they were so close where it was like, dang, dude, like this could sway in a different way. It was just so close. So I cannot wait for that. But definitely the fight of the weekend was definitely Chimaeva Gilbert Burns. That was a heck of a fight. I can't wait for the future for both these fighters here, especially Chimaeva, man. He's kind of like, becoming the next superstar here, and he's getting a lot of hype here. So I think Colby realizes this. Colby's been in the fight game for longer than Chimaeva, so I think that's going to kind of rub Colby the wrong way to where it's like, man, he's getting all the attention, all this hype. So you know what? Dana, match him up with me. Let me die down the hype here. Let me get him back to reality. Let me beat him at my own game. Okay, let me stand up with him and let me look for a takedown here. I'm a better wrestler than him. I'm the Division 1 wrestler here. So, that's where he started here. That's where Colby started. So I would love to see this fight, man. I think, UFC fight fans around the world should want to see Colby and Chimaeva fight. I think that'd be the summer fight. Then the winner of that fight gets Usman, in the fall or early winter time, somewhere around there, because Usman's recovering from that hand injury. So many ifs, ands, or buts. But, Leon Edwards, what's going to happen to him? I'd say match him up with his old friend here they were supposed to fight back in December, dude. You guys know who I'm talking about. I'm telling you right now, Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards. I'm calling it, dude. They got to get this fight rescheduled, dude. Maybe this summer. I don't know when. I think that'd be a heck of a fight. We saw what happened a couple years ago backstage. Leon Edwards comes up, said something to Masvidal, and Masvidal don't take no shit, okay? He came up fighting in the backyards with Kimbo Slice. He gave him a 3-piece combo, dude, and Leon Edwards was bleeding after that, and we saw Masvidal say the 3-piece combo with the side of a drink, just to make it funny. But I'm telling you what, UFC's got to make this fight. We look at the UFC and Dana White, really how far they've come, in the past 20 years, dude. Like, they've become one of the biggest biggest sports corporations in the world right now. They're worth billions of dollars, dude. Billions. And look where they're at right now. They continue to grow, continue to produce superstars after superstars. You know, we look back to the Ronda Rousey days, and people were like, oh, UFC's not going to be as big anymore because Ronda Rousey's out. Then we had McGregor blow up. Then we were like, oh, it's not going to be the same, you know, without McGregor. Then obviously the great John Jones, he's coming back. I cannot wait for him to get in the heavyweight division to dominate. That will be coming soon. The UFC needs that, dude. John Jones, he deserves a lot more respect than what they're saying. And I get it, all the out of side noise, what he's been doing outside the octagon, all that crap. But you know, at the end of the day, I do think John Jones wants it, and he's gonna be back. So that's huge business for the UFC. But you know, the UFC will always be big, dude. They're continuing to get big, continuing to get bigger. So, and I think a lot of people like the UFC, man. They like to watch it. We see so many people around the world enjoy this sport that's growing and continue to grow. So I cannot wait. But you know, what a stack, man. What a card. UFC 273 was iconic, man. Yeah, I mean, if you guys went on a 3 parlay and hit, man, you guys won thousands, if not millions of dollars. So shout out to Alexander the Great, Sterling, and Chamaya. I cannot wait to see what the future holds, baby. It's the Clouded with Cab show. Let's go!